And on that note,
hello everybody. Welcome to Irongeek cast number 77, Liberator.
on that note,
Everybody could join us. How everybody doing tonight?
doing great. Just got my grades back for the semester, and I passed all my entire minor. Woohoo!
Woo! Congrats.
I'm doing fairly well. It's been an incredibly busy 2 weeks, and glad to be back. How are you doing, Jack?
Jack is feeling muted.
How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, just applying for jobs and stuff like that. I think I have a couple interviews coming up, so just preparing and looking for work and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I need to prep up for OISF. That's this Saturday in Dayton, Ohio.
Ah.
Nice.
Other than that, I don't have cons for quite a while. It doesn't look like I'll be out at DEF CON, so
Does or doesn't?
does not.
Okay.
What would you guys say is the best way to like get involved in like volunteering and stuff like that in a con? Like I guess contact somebody that is like one of the organizers or something like that, or
You should have an email address on the webpage.
okay.
Not a Twitter handle that you can hopefully
Okay.
tweet to and get the DM with. Just find the ones that are within, I guess, driving distance to volunteer at.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then also, you know, if you're involved in any local security communities, there's even black hat communities starting to rise up in quite a few of the larger cities. They have one here in Columbus.
Nice.
But like the ISC squared, ISSAs, all those, a lot of the times the organizers are involved with the local community. So as you start to branch out and meet people, you can find out who they are that way too.
Cool.
So that's the cons.
All right.
Shortest con list that we've had in a while.
Yeah.
Is I guess is anybody else going to HopeCon? Is anybody going to HopeCon? I should say.
I'm not.
No.
Nope.
That's one of the big ones I've never actually been to.
I'm in the OHIO area.
Isn't that the super political one that's on Twitter up right now?
Well, a little bit ago, yeah.
Oh, right. We were those last week.
Not even his talk. It was his bio. His bio line. Because we're talking about OS and so forth. His bio line said something about he probably has your nudes. And this woman who was supposed to be doing a talk on like censorship got all up in arms about, oh, this is the kind of people who speak next to my name.
And you inadvertently just censored one of your colleagues. Woohoo. Good for you, man.
Oh, we got the Irongeek cast feedback survey up in the show notes. And I guess that just brings us to the breach report.
Yeah, so we'll head up the breach report. And I do want to remind anybody who is watching, if you're on YouTube, if you go down to Adrian Crenshaw, that's right below the stream, and look at show notes, it's the docs.google.com, blah, blah, blah. Everything that we're talking about, breach report, and some of the major topics afterward are listed there, so you can follow along, go right to the articles.
Yep.
So up on the breach report, so last week we talked about Ticketmaster. I think it was Ticketmaster UK had a breach, and now it's been found that this wasn't just Ticketmaster.uk. This was a back-end payment processor, and it's a really nice write-up by Risk IQ. I know I've heard of them, but I can't for the life of me remember where or know why. Do you guys know of Risk IQ?
I do not.
Okay.
I've heard
But-
of them.
Okay. So the write-up's really nice, and I think they're partially trying to push some of their technology, which, okay, you did good this time. But the back-end payment processor ended up, looks like, who was compromised.
Was
And,
yeah.
yeah. Actually, Cappy, you seem pretty interested in this. Did you read it exhaustively?
Not exhaustively because I was also at work waiting to be called in for something at a moment's notice. So I was just constantly having an ear out. But yeah, it was super cool. Just that and I've seen this in development a lot, where people take the same package and throw it up there. So it's just funny to me that so many people got hit with this.
Yeah.
And also the abrasiveness of the attackers. I'll see if I can find it and share my screen. There's one where they literally call out to the sysadmins here and just say, "Stop deleting my code, or I lock down all of your website." Here it is.
Nice.
If you will delete my code one more time, I will encrypt all your sites. You are very bad admins. Or you very bad admins. But what was so interesting too is that this is not, whoops, making my screen way too big. This is not very complicated JavaScript code. This is fairly simple and straightforward once it's deobfuscated.
Yeah, because they obfuscate a little bit of it, but they didn't even obfuscate the entire thing, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it was just they were pulling everything down to the bytecode through they were using some free obfuscator, which is kind of funny.
Going on the free obfuscator, so there was a write-up for DerbyCon, I think like 3-4 years ago, about obfuscation technique, and it was posted on GitHub. An organization that I've worked with in the past, they had the same PowerShell code come in, obfuscated with that guy's backend code. I was like,
Whoops.
that's awesome. Yeah.
What have I done?
But the nice thing was, it also, on his site, he had the Git on there still to be able to deobfuscate it. So it was like,
Get pwned.
yeah. But yeah, this was just a really good write-up, and I encourage anybody to read through the write-up if you have a chance. Because we're not going to be able to go all the way through it, but the write-up, the detail that they included was fairly good. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's why I was like, holy crap, this is a great find, because it was just very well written.
Yeah. Okay, up next, Bancor. Bye-bye cryptocurrency, 13.5 million in value. Which again, another one of these I've never even heard of, Bancor. But it was on actually CNBC's website, so maybe CNBC had heard of them. But yeah, they were popped for $13.5 million worth of digital tokens. Okay, apparently they're an Israeli startup, so, my homeland. Not really. They're 12.5. Theft of 12.5 million worth of Ether and $1 million worth of Pundi X. Never even heard of Pundi X. Apparently it's a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's probably just another altcoin.
Yeah.
Or like a area specific to like Israel coin. Well, I mean, like it originate.
Oh, you mean my coin?
No. Can we get Cappy quarters?
Yes. We definitely need some Cappy quarters.
I'll bring those to like DerbyCon or something like that.
Heck yeah.
Instead of a B, it's a C.
Cappy challenge coin.
Ooh, I
Cappy
like it.
challenge coin.
There you go.
Now I have to make a challenge out of it. Anyway.
Okay, next up, we have Australian Defence University breached. And this is one, I didn't read all the way through this, but it was China. You know, it's everything we ever hear lately is Russia or China. I wish Brazil would get back in the game and Iran. But IT systems of a leading Australian university were hit by hackers. Oh, now they're saying suspected to be Chinese. University and Australian government officials confirmed. And where's it in here where it talks about the defense part of it? I know there was one part in here that said something regarding the defense. Well, I'm just skimming through, but it says a little bit somewhere in there about some of the data that they believe was compromised, but I'm not seeing it offhand.
It might be this. At the very end, there's this quote saying, China has likely stolen more secrets from businesses and governments than any other country. End quote.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But duh.
That's a statement.
I mean, because if you're doing business in China, the Chinese government, if it's something they want, for you to be allowed to do business, you have to allow them source material.
Right.
So,
and we were talking about that a little bit last week, because I think one of Aui's friends, this guy named Parker, he's done development and lived in China.
Was his first name Peter?
No, Parker.
So not Spider-Man.
No.
Okay.
That took me way too long to realize that. Yeah, he was talking about that. They will even, if you're building something like in full there, you will see the Chinese government will be able to buy the patents, or like not buy the patents, but they own your product then. So there's no like patent protection or anything like that.
Isn't that just a beautiful thing?
That's why you see a lot of material companies in China, not the actual manufacturing themselves. Sometimes you do, but not for like the big companies. You'll see that with like Samsung, Apple, stuff like that. But with like the smaller companies, a lot of it's just material.
Yeah, it's. I mean, securing right now, I do have to manage a location in China.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredibly difficult. The government is within their ISPs, backdoors into the routers. Obviously, still always have the great firewall. It's just a pain in the ass.
Great firewall, referring to their kind of closed, like semi-closed nature of their internet.
Yeah, I mean they have a whole country firewall similar to Brazil.
Shit.
Yeah, so like I have friends down in Brazil, and I used to have to work with people in Brazil. And so if, say we want to put an IP phone in Brazil, we had to have them send a request to the government to open up the port for our IP phone. And we had to have both source and destination. And then they would open up the port for our one phone to run over the one port. And if you know anything about IP phones, they usually span 200-300 ports.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just getting like one phone in, it took 4 or 5 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. And China has a similar firewall that, not that granular, but they block all kinds of crap everywhere all the time. If you're trying to do proxying, even with one of the big companies, Bluehost, ForcePoint, used to be Raytheon and WebSense. That's not going to work. The government continuously shuts them down. So up next, TimeHop. Anybody use TimeHop?
No, I can't say that I do.
I don't either. But apparently they have 21 million users. And so 4th of July, they were popped. And I'm trying to see. What they do is, for anybody on Facebook, you know how you have your memories and it shows you what happened this time this day last year? That's all TimeHop does. So it shows you stuff from 1 year ago, 2 years ago on this day. And apparently people use this service. But yeah, they were popped. Around a fifth of all their users. Names and emails, phone numbers, all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, TimeHop. Next up, Darren, German hosting providers.
Yeah, the German hosting provider Domain Factory was breached. Someone posted on their forum saying, "Hey, we've compromised you. We've accessed information. They found the claims to be at least true, and that at least outside access has been going on since the beginning of since the end of January this year. So they were able to lift things like customer names, account numbers, physical addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, account passwords, bank names, and account numbers such as IBAN and BIC. So they got a whole slew of data from them. This was only patched beginning of this month, so 6 months. That's oh, go ahead.
Whenever they said passwords too, they just said straight passwords. They didn't mention anything about hashes or nothing.
That's a statement from them, which doesn't mean much. It could be passwords. It could be hash passwords.
That's true.
Let's assume clear text passwords because most will go for worst case there. I mean, at that point, you've already got bank information. What else matters? You've already got a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, they got broken into. Also, basically told to change things like your web information, your SSH passwords, MySQL passwords. Because I've worked web hosting before, and chances are on their customer control panel, whatever it is, probably has the root password for that on there. Because most of the time they do that so that they can log into that server to do some kind of maintenance for them. So.
True.
You got the root password on there somewhere, most likely, and well, congratulations, you have the root password for every dedicated server out there, and game over.
Man, so when they get all this information and stuff like that, the credit card information and etc., I guess the hackers that steal it and stuff like that, I guess they'll go and publish it on like the dark net or the deep net and stuff like that, and then sell it and stuff like that. I guess that's kind of the progression. Okay.
They'll sell it for like $5-10 an account. They may make a few simple charges to prove that, yeah, it actually works, but it'll go for sale on there.
Yeah. Usually they'll post like a very, very small subset of the data. Okay. They're not going to show the entire subset, but they'll show a little bit so it can be validated. Okay. And people will know that it is good, relevant data.
Yeah.
Man, I use my hands way too much whenever I talk.
And then I guess somebody will see, how do they figure out that this company was breached or something like that? Is it like that they see that there's a hole in the code or something like that? Or do they see that all of this data is associated with this company?
In this case, someone actually went on the forums and bragged saying, I've got access to your thing. But in some other cases, someone will do a security check. They'll maybe do an audit, once every, every quarter, and they find out, oh crap, this vulnerability was hit here because while we're doing remediation, we found something weird here. Occasionally, you'll find where banks will get together and go, hey, everyone shopped at Red Lobster, and their their cards got compromised.
Okay.
Well, the only common link here is they all went to Red Lobster. Hey, Red Lobster, go check your crap out because we're seeing, a potential IOC here. So
Yeah, and that's from the company perspective.
Yeah.
From the darknet perspective, there are, we'll say, individuals who do good stuff, but have been able to make their way into certain areas
Mm-hmm.
that are highly restricted areas. You have to know a person who
Okay.
knows a person, and you kind of work your way down through the layers to get to certain areas, and they'll see that data down on the dark web, and then from there notify the company, hey, your data has been exposed. You need to take action.
Got it.
And just for anybody who's watching, this was a small subset of the breaches and stuff that occurred over the last week. I've just seen stuff flying off everywhere. So, watch some of your people on Facebook, especially Twitter, and there's just been a lot of stuff this week. So, if you want more information, keep your eyes open there. Now on to the Darren Gen 2 breach post-mortem.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of these, unfortunately, so you hear my voice a lot here. So last week you talked about Gen 2 being exploited. Their GitHub repo was hacked and malware was installed there. But now we actually did a post-mortem. They did a post-mortem to figure out what happened. So basically, someone guessed the password for their GitHub repo, and they don't have two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication on there, so someone basically brute forced their password or did some social engineering to get control of it, and then locked them out for several hours. Actually, for 5 days. Excuse me, for 5 days. So it was out for quite a while. Now, the good news of this, at least, is that the GitHub is their GitHub repo is just a upstream mirror of it. Their core is on their own servers. They manage it. So basically, the only thing that was truly poisoned was their GitHub copy of it. So that's at least the silver lining of that shit sandwich.
Yeah.
But basically, they figure out how to get back in. They added multi-factor authentication and a few other hardenings. They basically wiped it and re-uploaded it. So it took about 70 minutes for them to actually get everything fixed. But basically, they got notified of it because the person went in there and removed all the admins, and basically everyone got emails saying, "Hey, you're being removed from this project." What? So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. If they wouldn't have removed them as admins, they probably would have went on for a week or two, potentially without being noticed.
Unless someone was like really anal and just checking every single little commit for things. I mean, I guarantee you they got someone on there who does that. So, but even still, that's a lot. That's a lot stealthier.
Yeah.
Another thing that might have happened. I know Bitbucket does this, but I'm not sure if GitHub does this. You can sometimes set up push notifications to go to like either an email or like a Slack server or something like that. So for the projects that I've worked on with my company, we've had those, and I would get every single, like I would get either a Slack notification or an email or sometimes both of, okay, so-and-so just made a commit to XYZ branch. Someone just made a big commit to master.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've used GitLab, and it will do that. At the minimum, we'll get notifications for like, oh, here's a merge request. Do you approve it if you're an admin? But yeah, you can definitely do notifications for individual pushes too.
Yeah.
But that also then makes me think they probably, or they may not have somebody who was watching the commits that heavily then. Because if somebody was watching the commits, I would have thought that they would have been getting those push notifications.
Well, from what I've read, it sounds like they got in there and then started removing all the admins from the account once they got in there. So
okay.
So basically, someone got admin access, started kicking off the other admins so they could do what they wanted to for however long.
I just love that. That's like an evil sysadmin.
Yeah.
It isn't
and wrench removed.
isn't Gentoo isn't that Richard Stallman's operating system or something like that? Or am I thinking of something?
Could be.
No,
Okay.
wait, no.
I don't have much experience with Gentoo, but I think I've heard it referred to as a Rice's Linux before.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very much you customize everything and build it to your specifications.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
What's better than Ubuntu? I mean, like,
Oh
I
well.
had a Raspberry. I mean, yeah, I don't have, I guess, too much experience with Linux, but I have a Raspberry Pi, and I just like, I don't want too many softwares and stuff like that installed, and then it's like, I don't know. I guess I need to find a different operating system because with Ubuntu, it's like it just installs like all these different packages and stuff like that I'm not necessarily, or that's Raspbian Pi, excuse me.
Well, that
I'm not
mean.
necessarily
Use Gentoo.
Oh, shut up, Owie. Ubuntu is the Play School Linux of Linux. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Fisher Price, my first distribution.
Did you say Play School Linux?
Yes, I did. Fisher Price, my first distribution.
Aww.
It really is. That'll probably be my
Yeah.
boy's first distro.
It was mine when I was 12, maybe younger.
Mine was Susie.
Nice.
Shit. When I broke my teeth on with Slackware, I went hard mode.
Some version of Red Hat was the first one I messed around with, but then I've quickly switched to various versions of Debian or Ubuntu.
Yeah. And Debian based almost the whole time.
Have you guys have any of you guys used Gentoo and Arch Linux? Would you say like one of them is? Because I think Arch Linux is pretty much just like it doesn't come with anything pre-installed or anything like that. I mean, I'm not too familiar with it, but I know it's very difficult. It's like one of the most difficult Linux distributions to use.
Well, Gentoo is the exact same way. It comes very minimal. You basically build whatever you want into it. So, and honestly, I mean, most distributions come pretty minimal. If it's like a GUI-based operating system like Ubuntu, it's going to come with a lot more because you wouldn't believe how many fucking dependencies there are for X11. I mean, holy shit, X11 is a massive beast.
Yeah.
And that's just without adding like KDE or GNOME or Fluxbox on top of it, because that's just even more.
Yep.
Well,
You want sound? Oh, here's ALSA. Here's 500 different drivers. Oh, you want this support? Oh, here's this. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like Ubuntu, it'll come with all the drivers for everything already installed.
Yeah.
And it just bogs down the system. Although it still runs faster in Windows.
I mean, that's like saying a snail run or a river runs faster than a snail.
Oh, let's classify as a river going up or downhill.
Doesn't matter. It's still faster.
where's the river Cam?
Okay, in general. Also, in general, we should get back to the show notes.
Hang on. There's one thing I need to say. Try Linux from scratch.
What's that?
Try Linux from scratch.
Oh God.
Is that a distro?
Yes.
Or are you saying roll your own kernel?
Yes to both.
Oh, okay.
I have done that. It's not something I would recommend unless you know what the hell you're doing.
It is a pain in the ass.
And
haven't
I know
done
what the
it in
hell
about
I'm
10
doing.
years.
Yeah, I know what the hell I'm doing, and it's a massive pain in the ass. That's why I don't do it.
What distribution do you use, Darren?
Work, it's mostly RHEL and CentOS because that's the Linux du jour of the corporate world.
Yeah.
Okay.
We use CentOS for our corporate related items.
Yeah.
That damn firewall always being on whenever you first install gets me every time. I always forget.
Yeah.
disallow all or something like that.
Yeah, it's like I can't do anything. Oh yeah, firewall.
CCL stop firewall D. CCL disable firewall D.
Huh?
It'd be really funny is if you just add like multiple firewalls. And it's like, no, you can't use this machine without a firewall. There's like 20 firewalls.
Oh my God, at my last gig, we actually had to have local firewalls on all the boxes. And I was like, why? Holy shit, this is the first place I've worked at in 10 years that requires that. Do you not understand that local firewalls are a terrible fucking idea? Like, oh, we have to by standards. Oh my fucking God. Shoot me now. Oh.
What is it? Is it PCI? One or two of the compliances require local firewalls. Is it
CIS. CIS.
CIS?
Yeah, it definitely does. PCI doesn't require much other than like keeping your shit up to date. It doesn't require
And
It requires
too much-
segmentation.
encryption and patching and segmentation, but how you handle that is vague. It's mostly just here's guidelines. Whereas CIS is like, no, do this specific thing. If it's
Yeah.
Windows or Linux or network device or whatever.
It's all fun.
Isn't CIS, that's the Criminal Information System Certification? Or
You're thinking of
CSI.
no,
no,
you're thinking
no,
of
no.
Where real
JIS.
happens.
You're thinking of NJIS, which is National
thank you.
or not? Is it National Justice Information System? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a potential client that I was gonna have to really get familiar with that one real quick.
Over on YouTube, P. Rickard, hope I didn't butcher your name too bad, is asking, anyone using QNX or generally what about microkernels for desktop?
No.
Why?
Microkernel.
I mean, the whole point of running on a desktop is you've got a ton of resources. You're not running a tiny little breadboard, device like a Raspberry Pi or something. Why would you want to use a microkernel? That just seems like a waste.
Well, he may be asking too, you can run a desktop environment from a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And utilize it as a desktop. So,
But just because you should doesn't mean you should, though.
Yeah. For me personally, I'd want to use my Pis for, staying concealed and doing small things and use it as a gateway, not as the primary.
Well, if you split off your kernel into another microkernel, could you just run any not kernel or any operating system on the same hardware then? Or would it be different? Determined by resources.
As long as you have your driver set on there, I don't see why you couldn't run it.
Okay. Because that would be a cool way in my mind to run Android and iOS off of. Because then you can give it the specific amount of resources that you might be able to distribute resources that way. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I could see it working with mobile development.
I mean, you can run the
emulators, yeah.
Yeah, the emulators, and ever since i7 came out, the emulators for me have always ran fairly smooth.
Yeah, the only emulators that I've used is the Xcode's iOS emulators.
Yeah.
On a Mac Mini. Damn, that was slow.
There was a version of the Mac Mini. We'll get back to the notes here in a second. There was a version of the Mac Mini that had an i7 in it, and I was actually very surprised by that thing. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I don't think I was graced with the i7 Mac Mini. I think it was something a little lower. I think it only had 8 gigs of RAM too, so that was.
It was an i1.
No, I did not win. Got stuck doing that.
I was just using Nuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a Skull Canyon. I fully endorse the Skull Canyon.
I have a Nook downstairs, my HTPC. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, when it comes to portable systems, I mean, like, right now I pretty much just run a desktop or a laptop, rather.
Mhm.
But if I were to say do a Dropbox situation, depending on how much power I need, it'd either be a Pi for something disposable or Nook for something not disposable.
Yeah.
And two, there's other systems that are similar to the Nook, but cheaper if you
Yeah.
want to search those out. I mean, exact same specs for probably at least a third less than the Nook.
Yeah. Well, how much are the Nooks?
Like the
Depends on
Go
which
ahead.
ones you get, because the Skull Canyons are probably more expensive because they're
Yeah.
usually, they actually doesn't have integrated RAM and like more hard drive space, and they're like the size of a graphics card. The Nook I have is the size of like 2 decks of cards.
Yeah,
They're
like
small.
the Skull Canyon is about the size of a graphic card. Like a double. They usually come bare bones. I think at least whenever I bought it, I didn't pay this much, but bare bones was 800, and then there's 2 slots for a for 2 M2 SATAs, and then 2 slots I think for RAM, and
Yeah.
then you have to buy your SATAs and your RAM separate.
Yeah,
Okay.
same for the one I bought too. Mine was just the bare bones. I bought 8 gigs of RAM for it and a SSD for it because I don't think mine has a M2 slot, but I just bought that because it was cheaper anyways. It
Yeah,
was like maybe $400 or $500 for mine all told.
yeah. I cheap piecemealed mine together, and I ended up having $500 in it.
Yeah.
So,
But two, I got the Skull Canyon for $300.
Which is a steal. That's a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a steal, all right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was seeing Skull Canyons for like $900 kind of thing.
Yep.
now, speaking of like mobile computing solutions, my sysadmin back in the States shown me these guys, Intel Compute Sticks. You can get them in like Windows 10 or with pre-installed on it, or Ubuntu. He was just buying the Windows one and then grabbing the key and then switching it over to Arch. He was
Nice.
a good old Arch sysadmin. But yeah, the interface for it, you literally just plug it into an HDMI slot on your monitor. I'm trying to find a better picture that just shows the port. Yeah, that port is an HDMI port.
Yeah.
It just goes straight into your monitor and it powers the whole thing.
So it's like Amazon's Fire Stick.
Yeah.
It's like the Fire Stick, except it's not.
It's an it's an actual computer, not an Android OS. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And it still has more I/O selection than the MacBook Pro.
That's not hard to do. Come on, low hanging fruit.
It has USB 3.0, USB 2.0 for some damn reason, and USB-C. Ta-da! I'm done with that. No, that's later in the show notes. Don't look at it.
Okay. Let's go to number 4.
All right, so this is actually a bit of an interesting thing I saw. As you know, Israel, a few others as well. So you post about ransomware a lot. Ransomware and cryptocurrency mining are the big hot things for cybercrime now,
Yes.
because they make money. I mean, let's face it. They want to make money now. The days of busting a computer up are pretty much over.
Yep.
So this malware will look at your computer and see, do you have anything related to Bitcoin on it? If you do, we lock it down, ransomware it, because you're more likely to pay. It figures, you may be less likely to have backups. If you don't have a Bitcoin or other kind of cryptocurrency on it, well, there's not much point in locking it because you may not pay anyways. So we're going to install a cryptocurrency miner on there. So it makes a decision based upon what you're running. Because if you already have Bitcoin mining on there, well, another miner is competition, and you're gonna notice that someone shuts your miner down. So yeah, it's apparently a new version of the Rachni ransomware family discovered by Kaspersky Labs. So it's actually pretty interesting. I imagine if this takes off, we'll probably see more things like this in the future.
Now, is this the same one that came up a couple weeks ago where it would attempt to disable antivirus, and then if it saw a competing miner, that it would shut that miner down?
I don't think it's related to that because again, if it saw that, it would probably get noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a common old tactic. Is I've seen malware in the past where it'll see competing strains on there, and it will kill them off, and in some cases actually even patch them. There was malware went out like maybe 10, 15 years ago that actually would patch a Microsoft exploit to stop someone from trying to exploit the computer, so it could keep the computer online and use it for spamming. I can't remember what that was,
beautiful.
but that was like back in like the so big days, back in like the early 2000s.
Nice. The so big days.
What's interesting is this one hit real close to home. My roommate kept complaining to me this week about his GPU getting super hot and then throttling itself and sitting there with like zero performance at a normal temperature. And I was just like, it could be the heat, it could be because it was really hot this week, and a couple other things that I came up with. And he looked at it later I think 2 days ago, and he just yells out, "Oh shit." And I'm like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I have a Bitcoin miner on my machine. I got rid of it already, but like."
Wait, did you find out how much you made?
I was like, "How much?" I'm like, and then I gave him a ton of shit for it. But now I'm like, oh, I wish he kept it, because now I'll compare it to see if it was the same to the sample, or to a sample if there is one.
Heck yeah.
No, this one says it mined, what was it? Monero Original, and Dashcoin.
Yeah, which is interesting. Which is what I was saying is like, yeah, that's kind of a crap crypto miner because it's not actually going to get much out of it.
Well, those are all CPU coins, aren't they? Which are, if they are, they're more likely to get you're more likely to find someone with a good CPU than a good GPU.
Are those script or SHA-256?
I
think Monero is script.
Okay, then yeah, they're all script then.
If I remember correct, so I've met some of the Monero devs. They're good guys. I can tell you that the Monero devs and Monero in general is more privacy focused.
Yeah.
So it's going to focus more on the hard to mine and hard to track stuff.
Very nice.
Cool.
Okay, what's next?
It's stylish, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Stylish.
This is a browser plugin, quite popular for a while there with people with Firefox, Chrome, and a few other browsers. I actually used this at one point as well. Basically, lets you do inline modifications to a page's HTML, CSS, etc. You can use it to move like banners or change a page's layout or things like that. Basically, if you have a page that has really shitty UI, but you like to go to it,
I've used this during CTFs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very useful plugin. I mean, it's actually very functional.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was bought out by a company back in 2017 called SimilarWeb, which is now updating it to collect all of your browser history and website traffic history. So, it still functions, but hey, you're giving all of your website, all your browsing histories to an advertiser.
Nice.
This has never happened before. Hang on a second. Google Microsoft.
Well, they're selling it to themselves. They're not selling it to a third party, at least.
Wait,
So,
how do you sell it to your? Or they're just storing it.
well, yeah, storage. That's the joke there. Yes, they're selling it to themselves. We're selling it to someone else. But yeah, so apparently it's been going on for a while now. It's been apparently been noticed a bit, but to kind of recently reclaimed a bit of headlines here because it's openly identified and made some calls out for it. Yeah, there's been a few things like this. Mozilla caught some shit for it too because of the integrations with what was that German searching provider? They got hit for that one, and they had that big tie-in with Mr. Robot that caused some consternation. We were like wondering what the fuck is this shit popping up on my screen because it was the telemetrics things.
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about that last year.
Yeah, so that was causing quite a bit of concern as well.
So SimilarWeb is the parent company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the company that owns the Stylish. Yeah.
What other companies do they own, or what do they do?
They collect and analyze website traffic, which is for advertising, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely scammed other people.
Yeah, there's no way they're not, man.
Yeah, because I was like,
No, I don't think they'd ever sell that data. No way. Ever.
It says they send their complete browsing history back to its servers together with a unique identifier. So, and if you create an account on userstyles.org, which is their website, you can link it to a login cookie, which links it to an email address, which links it to a person. Yeah, congratulations. There's a complete trail. Excuse me, a complete trail back to you.
that goes right back to Superfish.
Here's a complete PII of my life.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or the PII.
I love
Personally identifier. Personal screw it. Something index.
personally identifiable information.
Index. That's what I meant to say. It's been a long day.
Nice.
Yep. So be careful what you install, whether that's a browser plugin or an application or something on your phone. Always read it. Always read the reviews. See what people are doing.
Yep.
Look and see who writes the application.
That's a big one because a while back, I think it was like a month ago now, we were talking about Signal's vulnerabilities, and then we started talking about all of the different companies that were using the same framework, which I think was
Electron.
And it was like WhatsApp, and I think Instagram used something like that for its native app, and what we discovered was Facebook just owns everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus Signal, all of the messaging apps that we talked about, minus Signal and Slack that we talked about, all of them were owned by Facebook.
I don't know if
Discord.
Hmm?
Discord is not Facebook, but it uses Electron.
Yeah.
you guys. I don't know if you guys talked about that Facebook is rolling out some tracking technology or something like that, where it can, if you go to a store or something like that, it will scan your face and then assign you like a trust profile after it like goes and checks your Facebook account and stuff like that. Apparently they just signed a patent or something like that on that.
I missed that one.
So what's it say? Oh, you look untrustworthy. Fuck you.
I would imagine, yeah, or something like that. I don't even know.
Probably alerts the store's loss prevention. Go, hey, this guy's sketchy as fuck. Go watch him.
Yeah.
Is the basis for the image recognition Mark Zuckerberg's face?
Because he is ultimate trust.
No, I was thinking more 0%, so at like the ground level.
I like that. They probably stole the technology from China.
Yeah.
China's rolling out something similar to that. They're
Yeah,
doing,
they've already rolled it out.
yeah, and not fully. They rolled it out in one city.
Yeah.
And like in a more rural. Well, it wasn't completely rural, but it wasn't it wasn't like Shanghai. It was just like an outskirts, like suburb area that they rolled it out. But it's like straight out of the Black Mirror episode where it like gauges you based off of your social status on like Facebook and stuff like that. But the thing about this one that's different from just like grabbing your Facebook is they have cameras in that all around that city, so they're watching every move. They have a computer that's watching every move that you make.
Stalkers.
Yeah.
Get out of her, stalker.
1984, anyone? 1984?
Now, was that the one where, because I read a write-up on it probably a month and a half ago to 2 months ago. Yeah. Was that the one where you saw the camera feed going over this large, like a public square?
Yeah, and it was just...
There were about 1,000 people in there, and they were able to find the one person they were looking for. I think it was in, 25, 30 seconds?
That was in China, yeah.
Yeah, but was that the same one, Cappy, that you're talking about? Like the same place?
Probably, because I remember seeing a picture in the write-up that I saw on it, where it was in a town square, and it drew up like it really reminded me like of the UI design in the show Person of Interest. It like just draws like a box around the person. It's like
that was a great show.
That was a great show, and it's like that same kind of premise that we're seeing here, minus not to catch criminals before they do something bad, but as in the TV show, but just to like gauge your social status and then give you like a social score, which is
yeah, that's pretty messed up that Facebook's getting ideas from Black Mirror.
That's China, but yeah. So when you Facebook probably
when you realize that Facebook is trying to get in with China, it makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the frying pan into the fire, I'd say.
Heck yeah.
I'm kind of glad I never took that Facebook scholarship. Or that Facebook internship, rather.
Hey, I would have taken money from Facebook.
Hey, I would have too, but at the same time...
How much did it take?
It would have been about $30,000 for the summer, but here's the thing. I was actually... So Facebook had a scholarship to go to DEF CON 22, and I took it, right? And they were looking at me, and I was at... So Facebook at the time had two parties, the published one and the unpublished one. The unpublished one was for scouting interns. So I went to the scouting intern one, and what wound up happening was... Anyone familiar with Alec Muffet?
I know the name, yeah.
Okay, so Alec Muffet got famous because he implemented Facebook Core WWI.onion. That was actually something I suggested, kind of hoping that I would get an internship to help do that, and instead they ripped it, ran off with it, and basically left me without a fucking internship.
Fun.
That sucks.
Yeah, it stinks.
That's Silicon Valley cutthroat for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silicon Valley and Kansas City, I do not want to deal with either one of them.
Yeah, stinking Chiefs.
No, my experience with people from Kansas City has been pretty negative. The Kansas City scene's pretty fucked.
Yeah, but there's money there, so.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens whenever we hit the A key 29 times?
This one cracked me up.
Yeah, you can break into an ILO. Now, for those of you who are watching who don't know what an ILO is, it's HP's integrated lights out controller. A similar one, Dell has the Dell Remote Access Controller, or DRAC. Basically, it lets you access a computer out of band, or access a server out of band. It's an actual card that's installed in there. It has its own network IP address and all that stuff. And it has very low level access to it because it can reset the server power, it can update firmware, it can do all kinds of stuff. Now, ILO 4s, which are fairly old, I think we're up to ILO 5 or 6 now, older than version 2.53, have a vulnerability which was patched back in August of last year. That if you enter a curl, a post to it with the letter A 29 times, you can bypass all authentication. And of course, once you bypass authentication, you can do any kind of things like flash custom firmware, reboot the server, PXE boot it, all kinds of really absolute nasty shit with basically, level 0 access. So there is a very good reason why it has a CVE score of 9.8 out of 10.
Holy!
Because that is a holy shit bug. That's remote access, absolute access with bypassing authentication. Holy crap! You hit the trifecta.
That has to be an old backdoor that some dude forgot about.
Probably, but this was patched back in August of last year, so it's been patched for about a year now. But hey, there's two things here. One, most security admins forget to properly secure their ILOs, their DRACs, etc., because they're not a front end device. They're back end. They're out of band devices.
Bullshit.
Well, no, there's a lot of them I've seen who don't. It's easy to overlook because again, it's not in your face. It's only used when you need it. Server's not responsive, or you're building a server, things like that. So network segmentation may not be used to its best extent. Patching and changing passwords, things like that may not be used to their best extent. Now, granted, I'm sure most of us here know how to fix that problem, but it's something that gets overlooked. And two, it's not usually patched because they're not traditionally patched the same way as you patch Linux or Windows or any other device. You have to go in there, upload firmware, and reset the device. So it's not exactly something you can just do and click and easily do.
Done.
Yeah.
But two, though, it's been a while since I've been in that side of things. You can patch the ILO without having to take down the whole device, right?
Typically yes, but if you have a problem where the ILO won't boot properly, then your solution is to power drain the server. Yep. Power everything off, let the power go completely out, and then bring it all back up.
Yep, which is.
And DRACs have the same problems too.
Yeah, and those servers are normally, that's going to be your production systems.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, a DRAC and the ILO, they're always on. They operate independently of the server. So if you cut the server's power, for example, if you turn the server off, the ILO and DRAC are still reachable unless you physically unplug them either from the wall or from the network. They're still reachable.
Yep. Good stuff.
So yeah. And of course, if you have absolute access, then you can't trust that hardware ever again. At that level, you can't trust the hardware because you can upload any kind of backdoor you want on the hardware level.
Beautiful, beautiful thing.
ILO, more like, oh no, what the hell?
I hate ILOs. I really do.
Frankly, I love them.
DRAC is better, man. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah, DRAC is better, but I just love those cards.
Oh yeah, they're useful as hell.
Fight later.
Okay, we'll get the fight ready. Do you guys want knives or do you guys want guns?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm just saying. I used the iDRAC card to update a server in Japan, and I didn't have to leave my house.
Oh yeah, that makes them very useful. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you not want to go to Japan?
Because there was other servers elsewhere that I had to do that same day.
But
Reasons.
Japan,
He already has a samurai sword.
He
but
already,
Japan.
he already is Samurai Jack or
Yeah,
Afro.
Samurai Jack.
No, not Samurai Jack. Afro Samurai.
Yeah.
But Japan, they make anime real.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that into anime.
Owie, you're probably the only neat here, okay? And you're the only weeb neat here.
Neat in Dutch to me is completely different meaning.
Yeah, yeah.
Owie, you are null.
You mean to
That sounds
tell
better.
me you would not want to go to this place right here?
I don't want to click on that.
You just Akabara district.
I see otaku.
Otaku. Oh,
and
yeah.
that's it.
Well,
It's very brightly lit.
Yeah.
I
Go
don't
to
know.
downtown Tokyo. It's just like that. Yep.
Do I want to?
Is that photo
screen share
enhanced?
No,
No.
Kanchu, it's not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really want to go there.
Yeah,
What
that's
the-
way too much stimulus for me.
Yeah. Okay, I can show this. I have to be careful with Owie. Yeah, so this is the image that we're looking at. Where's this?
That's the Akabara district in Tokyo.
Okay. That's a lot of anime.
Yeah, it is.
well, I mean, it's a lot of anime. They used to have a lot of older Japanese systems, but unfortunately, they've been, because of the popularity of that area, there is none to be found. So you have to go to the outskirts in order to find those older systems.
Hmm.
But dude, you mean to tell me you wouldn't want to go here?
No,
Look at this extra picture. They have
No,
fucking
it's
Gundams, man.
no. It like I said, I like anime in small doses, but I'm not like every day.
Yeah, not like
Owie, you alone fill our weeb quotient, okay?
Never. I will bring more weeps.
you're proving your point, dude.
I mean, you
Or
mean to
Darren's
tell
point,
me
sorry.
you don't want to see this giant fucking robot.
No,
I would like to see a giant robot, except there's the point where it's just, yeah, no, like that's cool. But I want to see a giant robot that works and isn't just a fictional recreation.
Yeah, and I want to be the one inside controlling it and playing with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, let's knock down all the buildings.
Pacific Rim becomes.
Yes.
that,
See, I totally do Pacific Rim.
I so want to see a Pacific Rim Godzilla fight.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Dude.
they're technically in the same universe. Anyway, we're getting way off topic now.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. So next up
Yeah.
is
Next
what?
up is anime.
Owie, back in the
Don't-
corner.
Don't make me mute you. So next up is what the AT&T to acquire Alien Vault. So AT&T had a press release. They will be acquiring Alien Vault. You know, that kind of decent sized sim company. Guys, have any thoughts on this? I could not
Hopefully
believe
they-
it.
Hopefully, they
Wait, AT&T, like the AT&T?
Yes,
Yeah.
the AT&T.
Whoa. Yeah, it's probably not great.
I can see it working. Alien.
For who?
Okay.
AT&T? Yes.
Explain what Alien Vault does. Just
What?
for viewers that don't know.
Yeah, it's a sim, event log management. I mean, you stream every freaking thing you possibly can. So, NetFlow, event logs, just everything in your network you can possibly stream into it. You stream into it, and then it does data correlation, and you can write your own specific rules for it, and get, as long as you know what you're doing with it, you can get back relevant information and know or at least have high probability that an attacker's in your network, system's been compromised, any number of things. So that's what we do with SIMs.
Okay. What I can see this being used for is AT&T might make a version of Alien Vault software for their in-house use, specifically for the rollout of 5G, which is happening, I think, starting next year. They're going to start rolling it out. But that's playing devil's advocate, and they'll probably just sell a ton of shit to Facebook, and then Facebook will sell it to everyone else.
Yeah, because when I saw this, I was just like, what in the hell? 'Cause I don't know.
Unless maybe they're looking to diversify their portfolio.
we care about security.
Yeah.
I mean, I talking about them a while back.
Yeah, I feel like this is like Microsoft and a lot of companies they bought.
Yeah.
Where the company was very good, very specific, diligent about their product, and then it went into the Microsoft ecosystem, and just, half the company was gone, and it became an add-on, wasn't maintained nearly as well as it was before. Didn't run as good as it did. That type of thing. I hope it doesn't happen with Alien Vault, but that one caught me off guard.
Yeah, probably be all right, but we'll probably be talking about it later, like a year out from now. It's like, hey, remember this?
Yeah, remember how cool Alien Vault used to be? Because you could do freaking everything with it, and now you can't.
Do you remember?
I remember.
Remember when the Alien Vault was good? Remember when Skype was open source?
My precious.
No, that's this voice. Okay, don't get me started on that. I will be going for the rest of the podcast doing that.
I hear a special podcast coming up in the future.
Yes, princesses.
Okay, next up.
Stupid.
Okay, the next topic is DIY guns, and that has to do with guns and like 3D printers, how you can print the blueprint. So recently, I think it was, or it might have been in 2015, basically this company DefCAD, they have they host the source code and stuff like that for the 3D prints for guns. It was ruled by the Department of Justice that they are allowed to do that, the code is protected under the First Amendment. And so I guess there was just like, you don't want to have everybody getting guns and stuff like that. You want to have some regulation of that, like felons and people like that. But it was ruled by the Department of Justice that it is legal to host blueprints for guns. So that's that article.
Oh. That's what he's going to call this episode Liberator.
Yeah.
They call some of the models after the old World War II disposable gun that my understanding used to drop behind enemy lines for rebels to pick up.
Yep. So to give a little bit of information here for those of us watching and who are unaware, in the U.S. it's perfectly legal to build your own firearm for your own use without any kind of license required. Basically, it has to be for your use. It has to be for again your use. You cannot sell it without a serial number on it. So as long as you use it, you don't sell it. Totally okay. Of course, state laws apply, like California registration and all that bullshit. But hey.
But other state laws that aren't California don't apply.
Right.
But yeah, these guys are doing some really cool stuff. I had and I may still have it on a hard drive somewhere here. I had the original blueprints that they had online back a few years ago. But the way that they got around it and stayed in business as a company, they started selling 3D printers. And so essentially the same blueprints they previously had online. Because what the DOJ was saying was their blueprints were being made available overseas. And so they were charging them essentially as the same as people who were sending guns overseas.
Yep.
And they were trying to charge them under that. And that's what ended up being ruled here in the last week or so. But the way they stayed in business was they sold 3D printers, and then since they could control where the shipments were going to, then they would also sell the plans along with the 3D printers. And they've been able to bypass it for the last 3-4 years. But now they're going to...
It's free.
Yeah, they're going to be throwing everything up there. So AR lowers, 1911 lowers, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep.
I'm gonna check out the. Oh, nice. He's got good taste.
That's how you make a 1911 lower and make it out of plastic. How that would
No.
No.
Yeah, they're not just giving the plastic blueprint. No. They're doing the full scale aluminum, steel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they.
More like milling machines that are being used on.
Yeah, or you could probably use something like laser sintering to make it too, but you couldn't use like basic 3D printed plastic. It wouldn't work. The stresses would be too much.
Correct. Yeah, because if you look at like a 3D printed gun, I mean, it is massive. It's like a one-shot type of thing, and they're huge.
Yeah, so like the full receiver and everything is made out of aluminum or whatever hardened material that they have, which you can kind of see with the structure of the guns that they have up on screen here. The center part here is metal and the rest is all 3D printed on these guns. So the full receiver is given out, and then also with the milling machines and everything like that.
Yep.
Which is I was impressed actually with like the especially with this guy. It's basically a giant magnifying glass, but is what its function is. But it also will do a full readout on the angles and the diameters of different attributes of the metal and of the design itself, and give you a full readout of that. And that machine is 30 years old. Which is super cool.
Yeah, because you can buy like 3D milling machines from China. I mean, they're not inexpensive, but like $2,000, $2,500.
I mean, what's the name of the company again?
I think it's DefCAD. DefCAD.com is at least the name. I think they have like a organization, though I forget what the organization is. Defense Distributed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Loading DefCAD.
Yeah, I tried to access that website, but it was like a
it's like
log in or create. Yeah, exactly.
Forced sign up. Crap. Nope, not doing that.
But of course, as 3D printing technologies evolve and we have stronger thermoplastics and more available metal printing, like laser sintering, things like that, it'll become a lot more feasible to fully 3D print a full, metal firearm like 1911, or AR-15 lowers, things like that. So that's probably going to happen in the next, 5, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, too, and if you think about it, like epoxy, there is epoxy that's available out there that can seal things stronger than the original. Like if you had a single piece of plastic, the epoxy is stronger than that original plastic.
Yeah,
and,
you can make joints that are stronger than the original material.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very feasible within the next few years that could potentially do it with epoxy, plastic type of resin.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't fire it. Fuck that.
Well, I would. Hell.
Okay.
I'll do the Mythbusters once, get the string up there, or maybe 2 or 3 times.
Like
what happens when people try to use a flare gun as a 12-gauge shotgun?
It blows up because it's not built for those kinds of stresses. Because they're fucking idiots.
Tell us how you really feel.
Hey, we had a range here burned down a few years ago because some idiot was shooting tracers indoors. So I'll tell you how it really fucking feels. Yeah.
Wow.
And you're in Texas.
Well, this was in 2013, at the beginning of 2013, back when ammunition was being very scarce because of the fears of the gun ban. So all they could get a hold of was tracers because no one wants to buy tracers because they don't fucking work. So yeah, they went and shot tracers in indoor range and burned it down.
Wow.
Hey, Bobby, watch this. Look at the pretty lights. Billy, you just lit the damn thing on fire.
I tell you what, though, tracers at night coming out of full auto, one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I gotta go out shooting sometime when I get back to the States.
Hey, come back out here, man. I'll take you out.
Cool, man.
Tracers are like flares or something like that?
Well, they burn. They burn basically, so that way when if you shoot at night, for example, a normal bullet you can't see it flying through the air because it's not glowing at all. Whereas a tracer will light up and burn for a short period of time, so you can actually see like where the volume of your fire is going.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Like if you see them firing at night, you see those little bursts of red and green out. That's the tracer. Like out of a M249, 1 out of every 5 bullets is gonna be a tracer.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yep.
you'll see that in planes as well, but yeah, same kind of idea with the M249 where it's just every few is a tracer round most of the time.
Nice.
That is
I mean, if your
a
belt,
sweet gun.
if the belt's set up for that.
Well, yeah.
Right, yeah.
You can do without, but typically you do because, I mean, being able to direct fire at night is important.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I could get a saw for only 13 grand. Man, what a steal.
Okay, so fun fact, the U.S. military pays about $600 for every M4. That's their actual price. But then again, they also buy several million of them at a time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can buy a legal one, an old one for 30 grand. That's legal for you to own under the NFA. But the actual list price is like a lot less than that. Guarantee you.
Wow.
Fun little excursion that I did in town here in the Netherlands. There's this one gun shop that was just in a corner, and they had a M16 in a case, like Vietnam era M16, and it was all ready to go. And I looked at the price and I was like, wait, how much? It was like maybe $1,000, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then there was a bunch of like Soviet era weapons in the window and stuff like that. That was what originally drew me.
Well,
So
you should have bought it. Broke it down, and then I would have had somebody come pick it up for you.
Yeah, I know, right?
So you bought 2 of them, right?
After a random wire transfer to my account with interest. It's like, bro, okay. The reason that I would not buy a gun here in the Netherlands is because they're somewhat illegal to own as a civilian. Like there's just a ton of paperwork that you have to go through here, and then you have to get a psych eval test. Like even if you want to have like a BB gun, they will do a psych eval test on you.
Huh. Well, yeah. I mean, you definitely would have failed that one. So.
Yeah. Are you a hacker?
Define hacker.
Define a hacker.
But of course, the funny thing there is, compared to here, here suppressors are incredibly hard to get because they view them as, this is this little ninja weapon. You can't hear it. Whereas over there, they're considered needed because noise pollution, because it just makes them hearing safe. They're still pretty fucking loud.
Yeah, like we get, or I haven't been a part of this, thankfully. We get, or it was after I left. We get noise complaints on the cops here all the time.
Yeah.
Because here we're in the apartment building that I'm in. There's parties going all the time. Either people are graduating, like right now, people are graduating. There's this giant party going on downstairs. And just like every week we're having like 1 or 2 parties a weekend or something like that.
Yep. So I mean, keep in mind, in places like the UK and Europe, you can go to the hardware store and buy a suppressor for your firearm for $30 to $100, cash and carry, no problem, because all it's used for is noise suppression to make it hearing safe and avoid massive noise pollution. Here in the U.S., that same silencer will go for $200 for the low end ones, to $1,000 for more. I bought 2 a few years ago, and they were about $800 each because I bought some pretty high end ones. There is a regular background check that goes on. There's usually a 9-month waiting period with the FBI running a background check, which is the same background check you get when you buy a gun. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the really cool one is where they have the crap. It's this piece that you screw on, similar to a suppressor, but then you can take a oil filter.
Oh,
and
you're
screw
talking about
into
a solvent trap. Yeah.
Yes.
The problem is that it has to be registered like as a suppressor too, because
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the cool thing with that, though, you can, change out the filter, length of the filter, use like a filter for a diesel truck that is enormous.
Huge.
And, yeah, that'd be...
I've seen a solvent trap before. Basically, so they can't get, like, powder residue.
It was meant to be used for, like, cleaning and things like that. It wasn't meant to be used with the oil filter. That was mostly an add-on.
Yeah.
And, just for, it's like a makeshift or a poor man's silent.
Yeah. Or duct tape a 2-liter bottle and steel wool. I mean, no, I didn't say that.
Careful, the ATM's going to come and shoot your dogs.
Next up.
All right. Oh, I don't have a mouse. All right.
In your house.
Thankfully, yes. No, I don't have one. So I was just scrolling through Twitter today, and I ran across this. So Intel paid out $100,000 bug bounty today, or not today, but a couple days ago, and this just popped up on my radar, and I was just. This is one of the largest ones that I've seen.
Yeah,
and it's big. Now the report is undisclosed at this point to what it actually is, meaning that it's in the way that this bug bounty board or bug bounty program works with HackerOne, I think, is the bounty program. Is that they'll give the confirmation that payment was received to that user, but they won't disclose a report right away.
Correct.
So, which is normal. I don't know if BugCrowd does the same thing, because I think BugCrowd, you just get it immediately saying, or you just get the post when the report is disclosed, but I would have to look into that. But everyone was kind of, on this post was kind of like, wonder what this is, and some speculation on it. And my thought was Spectre or Meltdown.
Yeah, that was my immediate thought.
And I looked through and I'm like, no one said this. So I said it.
I mean, if you look at some of these bounties, they're pretty impressive. I mean, some of the near ones there are, 20 and 30,000. That's
like
holy crap.
They're shelling out. So
yeah. Like the smallest one on this page is $500, and that's an outlier. Most of them are $1,500 and above.
Yeah. So my thought is that there's like a ton of microcode exploits that are going on.
Yeah, there's some guys making some major money off of bounties. One of my buddies made was it last year? Last year, yeah. And this is all automated. I won't say it's always taken nicely, but he scours the web looking for vulnerable sites, web apps, whatever he can find. Mm-hmm. And he got bounty payments of $120,000.
Nice.
I mean, in 1 year, and that's all automated. That's him not sitting. But I mean, he coded all this stuff a few years ago, but he doesn't do any of that. He still has a regular 9 to 5.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had the forethought to do that.
Yeah, and then he went and donated. He donates that money to charity every year, so he has to pay absolutely zero taxes ever.
Hey, tax write-off.
Yes, I was like, man, I need to register as a charity.
So that was just my little thing that I saw today that I was like, whoa, this is cool. Also, someone has a GIF avatar in here. How did it do that? Huh.
GIF avatar.
It's an avatar that's a GIF.
And I was able to get into the internet.
I've seen a few of those. It's probably something you can just do.
Yeah, just do it. Nike.
Do it! No.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay, back on the notes real quick. We did skip 9. Who
Yeah,
else?
we did.
I added that after because for some reason
okay.
it wouldn't format right. I don't know why.
Okay, well,
So there's a fairly notorious company out of Brazil called BitCanal, which is referred to as a hijack factory, aka BGP hijacking. They have hijacked several well-known public IP address spaces, including the one for the Texas Attorney State General. So they went after some pretty big fish there, and they've been kicked off the internet. They finally got together on the.
You are no longer allowed on the internet.
Yes. So basically, NANOG, or North American Network Operators Group, got together and had a discussion about it, and they started petitioning the various upstream providers for them, starting with Cogent, and Cogent de-peered them, and so did GTT, a few others. They reconnected to BICS, which is a Belgian telecom, before being disconnected after finding out, oh crap, this is a huge liability. And Hurricane Electric got rid of them. Mir Far Big, which is a company in Germany, tried to take them on before shutting them off again. So they went through several trying to get, and then eventually they couldn't find anyone. I think their last peer, their last IXP last AS that cut them off was Hurricane Electric, and they now have no presence at all.
Wow.
They were so bad that Spamhaus had them on their ASN drop list. That basically means this whole ASN is poison, drop it. Bad. That's how bad it is.
How does one ban someone from the internet, though?
Well, de-peer them. That's how you do it. Cut off all your upstream providers, and you now can no longer route traffic.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That works for now. But what happens when they decide to change their name in 6 months?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Well,
It's like how, like you could just get a different domain, do the same stuff, but for a little bit anyway.
You know,
they're. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know, but I think someone who would know, the person who created the internet, Al Gore.
Yes.
All right, let me ping him real quick.
Okay, cool. You got him on speed dial.
Yeah.
Well,
I've got an emergency satellite phone straight to Al Gore.
Nice.
I mean, you could I'm sure a lot of the big ones like Hurricane Electric and Cogent have some kind of customer vetting going on before they allow someone to start peering through them. So they make sure you're not going to have some kind of bad actor come in and start fucking people, because BGP relies on trust. We know how well that security model works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a reason I don't trust anyone, and it's BGP.
So yeah, all their ASNs are on the ASN drop list. They've been totally de-peered. And yeah, basically a lot of internet connection points are going to have to get a lot better about vetting their customers. And of course, this is assuming that various IXPs are actually taking the time. Obviously we've got ones in Russia and such who don't give a shit because okay, go ahead and de-peer. It's a big fucking deal. We've got other people nearby who won't DPR with us because, you know, we're Russia.
We're Russia.
Yeah. I like
Well,
Russia. It's like Russia and China. Oh yeah, DPR them. Great. So there goes a lot of our internet problems. Congratulations. But yeah, that's going to have some serious consequences if you do that.
I cannot go to American porn site anymore. What is wrong? Boris needs his porn. Needs his American porn.
Oh, don't worry. We have it already backed up.
That sounded more Indian than Russian.
That's how good my accents are.
That just painted a really funny picture in my head. Like India, China, and Russia all sitting at like a dinner table. It's like, I need to have this. I need to get access to this one website. India's just like, oh yeah, we downloaded all of it. Oh, we downloaded all the American porn. Oh man. Oh, there's probably someone who's done that.
Yes, there probably is.
And as a side note, anyone who tells you that GUIP blocking doesn't work is a fucking idiot, because it absolutely does work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it helps cut down on a lot of noise, I imagine.
Oh yeah, it's not foolproof, but holy crap, does it reduce so much low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it just sucks whenever you have a office in China, the Ukraine, England,
Basically anywhere.
Czech, India.
If you have an international presence, yeah, but if you're not, you know,
Yeah.
if you're an American company dealing with Americans only, then I don't need traffic from Vietnam. I don't need traffic from China. I don't need traffic from, you know, Niger. No, block that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that prince promised me that money.
That's Nigeria.
Nigeria or Ghana, either one.
Ethiopia. A lot of those. Oh, I forgot to plug my phone in. Oops.
That's right. Okay, that is it for the show notes. Anybody have any topics for discussion while we are live?
I do not, sadly, off the top of my head.
Unless you want to go back to some of the Linux talk, the hardware talk.
Yeah, so now we can have that fight between, what was it?
Yes, the fight of all fights.
Jack versus Darren.
Drac
no,
versus
it was-
Ilo.
Yeah, Drac versus Ilo.
Hey, I just said I don't like Ilos. I didn't say I didn't find them useful. Big difference there.
Yeah, and I just said I love them because, well, frankly, it's
Convenient.
But in terms of ease of use, oh shit, Drac beat. Ease of
Yeah.
use and reliability. Oh yeah, Drac, you can't beat that shit.
oh, of course not.
As well as, too, how many of you guys have done work with individuals overseas?
A lot.
You're talking to people who work in IT, dude.
Yes, but not necessarily people who always work internationally. So, with that being the case, and remembering we all speak English, and so I know you guys have encountered this tons of times, not everybody overseas always speaks English all that well.
Mhm.
And so,
That's not an issue with me or with my former employer. That was never an issue.
well, that's true. Your overseas correspondence was native English. But if you have somebody overseas who speaks Chinese, whatever language you want, to communicate, even no matter how good their English is, there will always be a communication breakdown.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and so that's another place where remote administration, ILOs, everything else is just a godsend, because you're not always going to know what their technical ability is, that they're going to interpret what you said correctly, that they'll type commands correctly. It
So
just goes on and on.
I will say that also translates back to even just being in person, and even there, I'm working doing web development in the Netherlands, and working with Dutch clients as that is our company's client base. And we actually ran into an issue where, since I don't speak Dutch as my native language or even as a second language,
The fourth.
or
So even though they have the basic concepts of English,
yeah,
you can speak it with you.
yeah, they some okay.
Well, that's nice.
So sometimes you will run into people like that. Most of the times they are older, and by older I mean in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah, don't you say close to 40.
I was ready to go upside that dude's fucking head.
No. Like almost senior level status. They won't have a good grasp on English, and that has usually been.
Oh no, they do.
Well,
you bet.
Okay. Okay, let's put it this way: the Dutch are very specific and very proud people. And then you go up to the northeast, and there's a whole nother like Dutch dialect that is even
Frisian.
worse. No, what?
Frisian.
No, it's not Parisian. It's this.
Well, I know Frisian. I know West Frisian has its own language.
Frisian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, misheard you there. But yeah, it's a full like other thing. So when what happened was I was in this meeting with this client, and the entire time that I tried to speak English with him, we ended up getting misunderstood so much that I was like, I looked at my project manager who was Dutch, and I'm like, just spec in Netherlands. Which isn't correct Dutch, but it was close enough. It's like, you explain it to him in Dutch, just it's not working. And we actually ended up getting screwed a little bit because we weren't. Something gets lost in translation always, to the point where today I was on standby for a meeting that was happening completely in Dutch, and if they really needed me for something, then they would come get me. It was just like, oh, it was terrible.
Nice. Real quick over on YouTube, Blue Squirrel asks, are there any good OSINT tools for Facebook that still work? What was Ill Will site?
I will look it up.
Yeah, because I know we talked about that a month and a half, 2 months ago, I think it was. And I think some of his stuff was Facebook related.
Wow, it's a lot of ill will. I don't think that's.
What did you get?
Just like a lot of DJs and wannabe gangster rappers.
Yeah, only other thing I know of is like Indigo Press, which does that whole Phone Me to Scroll, that old cartoon series. It's still going on.
What was the cartoon series?
It was
Phone Me to Squirrel.
Will Press.
Ah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's a different Ill Will.
Yeah, it's a different Ill Will. Although Ill Will does have some Photoshop skills.
Ooh. So it may not be a different Ill Will.
I think we ran out of things to say in the public, so I'm gonna stop the cast and leave the chat going for a while. Talk to y'all later.
Have a good night, everyone.
Later.